The Duval Rundown, driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, home of the lifetime warranty.
Good morning. Welcome to Duval Rundown. Please be joined as always on Monday morning with voice of the Jaguars, Frank Frangie. Frank, what a way to start the season. Lots to get to today, but just what a start for Liam Cohen and this Jacksonville Jaguars new vision to get off to a 1-0 start with a pretty much a commanding win over the Carolina Panthers yesterday.
Yeah, what I had to do, though, it took me some time. I had to get with the travel agent and rebook my February vacation, Hayes, because I don't want to miss the parade. Okay,
yeah.
Here for the parade.
First place, baby.
Hey, you know what? It was a good start for Jacksonville. I thought, what I thought stood out more than anything else? They did what they said they were going to do. Jeff Loggeman and I talked about that on the broadcast. They said goal one was to be physical. That was Liam Cohen and James Gladstone. And from the words of Tony Baselli, who's been here in previous years, to be more physical than they had been because he knew they had not been. Let's be a physical team that can run the football and can stop the run. And I think that was goal number one. And there's a lot of things we're going to talk about, obviously, Hayes, that happened yesterday, good things. But I thought that's what stood out the most. They were a tough physical team. They ran for over 200 yards. I thought it was a really good debut for Liam Cohen.
That was the thing that I took away from it the most, and that's what I geared my column around on 1010XL.com is, just for all the things that for a first-time head coach to have to juggle. You have a lightning delay, which he acknowledged after the game, Liam did, that he'd never been a part of one of those. To have that happen as your first game as an NFL head coach, I thought they handled that magnificently. I mean, they came out after the delay, went on a 10-0 run to take a 20-3 lead into halftime. And as you mentioned, I mean, he always seemed a step or two ahead of the Panthers in terms of their defense. I mean, Hunter Long wide open on the touchdown, the BTJ touchdown on the reverse, pretty much a walk-in touchdown. We haven't seen a lot of those. I mean, and the consistency on the ground, very impressive stuff from Liam Cohen.
Yeah, let me unpack some of the things you said in order because there's a bunch of stuff you just said there. Let me start with the delay. Here's what bothered me or worried me about that until then. The Jags, I thought, were starting to get some momentum. I was around some of the coaches and they're kind of up where we are. And I know they were excited because they thought they were starting to wear down the Panthers a little bit. I think that was kind of the feeling. And then all of a sudden you get a delay. Does that change all that? Did the Panthers get to go to the locker room and catch their breath a little bit? And the truth is, it didn't happen. They kept wearing them down. They picked right up where they left off and continued to wear down the Carolina defense. So I agree with you. I thought they managed the delay well. It didn't even look like there was one. That's your point, I think. In fact, those last 8 minutes, it was 8:32 when it happened. Those last 8 minutes of the first half are when the Jags were the best they were all day long. So they were very good after that. And I agree with you. The play calling was really good. I think we got just a touch of him as a play caller. In that, you know what I mean? You saw the reverse. You saw the jet sweep to get the first down on fourth. And by the way, if De'Ami Brown doesn't slip or trip up, he's still running, by the way. So we saw the jet sweep, and we saw that some of the preseason. You saw the reverse to Brian Thomas Jr. I agree. He walked into the end zone. The touchdown, Hunter Long was wide open. I think that's just a touch of what Liam Cohen can do as a play caller. So I'm like you, Hayes. I'm excited about a lot of things the first-year coach and the first-time coach did.
And obviously, it takes execution to really make it happen. A play call is great, but you got to execute it. And boy, this offensive line, Brenton Strange, I thought was outstanding, and ETN obviously with a magnificent day running the ball.
Yeah, that was the thing. And by the way, Brenton Strange is going to be very good. You need a pass-catching tight end with Evan Ingram gone. It looks like you've got one. We've all kind of felt that way. I was happy for Travis Etienne. There's been a lot of talk about Travis. He's a first-round draft pick last year in the contract. Is he going to be back? Is he not? Is Bigsby a more physical runner, so he's going to beat him out? Is Bashal Tootin going to be here because he's a big-time rookie who's the fastest guy at the combine in physicals? He going to beat him out? Is LaQuinn Allen, who's the third down back, because he's such a good third down back, is he going to beat him out? And Travis Etienne said, right now it's my job, and he showed why it's his job. So they're all four good players. The challenge is going to be keeping them all happy and getting them all the ball enough. But that's a good problem. I was happy for Etienne. And Hayes, you're right. The offensive line blocked, man. You got to run the football. In this day and age, you got to run the football. And if you look back, the way he ran the football with Bucky Irving last year and the way Tampa Bay became a physical run blocking line, and the way that led to obvious improvement for Baker Mayfield. If you add all that up, that's probably why he's got the job. If you think about it, that's probably why he's the head coach of the Jaguars, and we saw it firsthand right out of the gate.
I love that he won the toss and took the ball. Friday he sort of gave us a glimpse into that thinking, and he was like, I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I will say, like last year in Tampa, we started to take the ball first, and when we scored first, our winning percentage was ridiculous. And I thought it was a great message to the team, great message to Trevor, who we'll get to in a second. But again, just another layer of, I thought, an impressive coaching debut.
Yeah, very confident, wasn't it? You know what I took out of that? He was confident. He's the play caller. He's the offensive coach. I'm confident that what he said to you guys at the podium, that if we score first, we have a great chance to win. Well, you got to be confident you can score first. Getting the ball, starting the game at a 35 or wherever doesn't necessarily mean you're going to score first. But not only does he like the stat, Hayes, to your point, that if you score first, you win the game, he's confident he could take the ball and go score first, and they did. They kicked a field goal, and frankly, without hurting themselves a little bit, they would have scored a touchdown probably. So he was confident they could take the ball and go right down the field and score. And there wasn't much as far as what Liam Cohen did. Now, there's some other things we'll talk about, penalties and the like. But as far as what the head coach did, man, there wasn't much not to like, for sure.
Yeah, and I like that in the post-game locker room celebration that the Jaguars, shared on social media, like that's he brings up penalties. Like, I mean, obviously it's a very positive vibe in there, and he's celebrating, but he does make a point to say penalties, guys, we've got to get better with that. We've got to clean that up, which is refreshing because we're not that far removed from Doug Marrone saying, penalties don't really affect who wins or loses a game if you look at historical data. So I thought it was really refreshing. First time head coach, obviously in that moment, everybody's euphoric, but he took the time to say, the penalties have got to get corrected, because on that first drive, it really was amazing. They had 87 yards on the opening drive, but on the books, it was like 55 because they had to overcome a couple of penalties. They had the intentional grounding. So they had 3 pretty usually drive-killing mistakes, and still were at least able to get points. So, yeah, I mean, I think in terms of how he's handling this, again, very impressive stuff so far.
Yeah, and Hayes, you're probably not going to have 9 penalties for 83 yards and win in Cincinnati. And you're probably not going to have 9 penalties for 83 yards and come home and win on a Monday night against the Chiefs. So, the Panthers probably aren't a great team. It's too early to say they're going to be terrible. It's one game, but they're probably not as good as some of the teams you're going to play. And so you got to tighten that up. I think they will tighten that up. One thing he has done is, given what he's working with, he has proven that he's going to do what he says he's going to do. I don't think there's much debate about that. And we saw that yesterday. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be the most physical team, and they were in game 1.
I really thought Brenton Strange was outstanding. I mean, on that first drive, he has 3 catches for 49 yards, sort of sets the tone, which he then was quiet in the passing game really until the end. But it sort of established that, and Carolina had to pay attention to that, which then obviously opened up some other things. And my God, he is a killer in the ground game. I mean, he was crushing guys yesterday, took 2 guys out on the ETN 71-yarder.
Yeah, my friend Jeff Lagerman has always said, let 85 get going, and he's going to be a really good player. And he really never had a chance to get going until now. No, I agree with you. Here's what's interesting about the way the whole game played out. Because of how you were playing it and how it went, and then the delay, and then next thing you know, you're up 20-3. It never became a game where you had to start throwing the football. And that's the good thing. You want to throw on your terms, not on the terms the game dictates, right? You don't want to get into a track meet game where the track meet dictates that you have to throw the football. We all watch the Bills and the Ravens, and we with the Steelers and the Jets, and they're scoring in the 30s and the 40s. And game 1, you don't want it to be like that, right? Well, so it never had to be. But where I think you're going with the point where there's Brenton Strange, where there's Brian Thomas Jr. or De'Ami Brown or Travis Hunter, I know we'll talk about him in a minute. If it got into that game, you got a hunch this year's Jaguars could keep up. And I'm glad it didn't, and that's not the way they want to play. But Brenton Strange looks like a guy, in addition to being a mauling blocker, if he's got to go catch passes down the field, and if you got to look up one game and he's got 8 for 112 and a couple touchdowns, that would surprise me. You have to have a tight end that can be that if he has to be that. And by the way, you also have to have multiple tight ends.
I'm Rick Ballou, Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, proud partner of the Jaguars. Drive with confidence. Every new vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime warranty. 7030 Commonwealth Avenue or online at jackswest.com.
Frank, in terms of Trevor Lawrence, I thought he played better than maybe what the numbers looked like. How did you feel like it went for the franchise quarterback yesterday?
I thought Trevor was fine. I thought he played well. He missed a few throws. I mean, you're not perfect. He missed the one long corner route to Brian Thomas that he airmailed it, but he came right back and threw a fastball in there for the first down not long after that, which I thought was fantastic. So that stood out to me a little. I thought he's got to get rid of the ball sooner when he took the grounding, and he knows that, and he learned from that. But that's one. It was clear it wasn't there. Rather than wait for it to be there and then ground it too late, get rid of the ball. But no, I thought he played well. I think Trevor's going to have a good year. He made some plays with his feet. He knew when to run. He knew when not to run. I thought Trevor had a good start. Do I think he's player of the week in the NFL? No, but I think it was a darn good start and a darn good performance for Trevor Lawrence. Everything you wanted out of Trevor. Remember, new footwork. You stand differently now in the shotgun snap. Your reads are different. Your progressions are different. Like Liam Cohen said after the game, Hayes, for a quarterback in a brand new system like he was, I thought he was damn good. I really did.
Yeah, and you mentioned Travis Hunter earlier. He actually led him in catches. He had 6 for 33, so nothing really explosive, but he was active on that side of the ball. Didn't play a ton on defense, but did, I think, log about 6 snaps on that side of the ball. So nothing really extraordinary other than the fact that he did play on both sides of the ball, which is extraordinary.
I can tell you too. Tell me if this stood out. Yeah, I agreed on all counts. But did you notice this too? When he catches that ball, buddy, you better be there to tackle him because the first to second move right after the catch. Now I'll give Carolina credit. Every time he caught it, there was a guy there ready to tackle him. But that's not going to be the case for 17 games. He's going to catch some balls in space, and look out, man. Could you tell that, Hayes? Could you tell the first step, spin move? Again, give Carolina credit. They almost it almost like they were zeroing in on him. I'm not saying they double teamed him, but they made sure there was a guy around number 12 the whole time. But after the catch, the quick moment right after the catch, you better be there to tackle him or he's off and running. I can't wait to see more and more of him. And by the way, the playing time played out about the way I thought it would. Remember now, you're not playing a team with 3 super fast wideouts. You're playing a team with 2,000-yard rushers. Chuba Hubbard was a 1,000-yard rusher. Rico Dowdle was a 1,000-yard rusher. It was a team that, just like the Jags, had said they want to run the football. It was a physical team that was going to try to run the football. Well, he's going to play less defense against that team. He's going to play less defense against a physical team, or at least a team trying to be a physical team that's going to run the football. He will. I think it turned out to be 44-6. I think was the play. We had it at 39-6, but I read somewhere 44-6. Offense.
The league has it at 42 on offense, 6 on defense.
Okay, so 42. So we had 39, someone had 42, someone had 44, but it was 40 something on offense, 6 on defense. My guess would have been 40-20. That would have been my guess going. If you'd have asked me the number going in, I'd have guessed 40-20. So it wasn't that far off. But I think if it's a team throwing it all over the park this week with Joe Burrow, if that thing turns into a track meet, I think you're going to see 12 on defense far more. The other thing is that I didn't see this. I didn't know they would do this. We didn't see it in the preseason. It was interesting how they defended. Did you notice how many times they had 1 linebacker and 3 safeties on the field?
Yeah.
That became kind of their thing, didn't it? That obviously Eric Murray and Dewey are their 2 starting safeties. Well, they brought Darnell Savage in, played him at safety, and kind of walked Dewey up to where he actually played like a linebacker. So Foye and Dewey were sort of the 2 linebackers in when they were kind of protecting the lead. So when you're doing that, you don't need as many cover corners in the game. That way you can say. And I thought Jarian Jones played pretty well. And so yeah, I thought Tyson Campbell had a good game. Jordan Lewis obviously had a good game. So They might have better defensive backs than even they thought, which means you don't have to play Travis over there quite as much.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Defensively, I thought Anthony Campanile really called a good scheme. That blitz that Jordan Lewis had where he lit up Bryce Young forces an incompletion, and then they got the takeaways, which they never really were able to do last year. Foye, a big part of that with an interception and a punch out on Bryce Young. Boy, that is something that tends to be contagious. That is worth its weight in gold for this defense to force 3 takeaways in week 1.
And I can tell you this. I had a hunch. We didn't know because you never saw it in the preseason, and we certainly weren't going to say what we saw in practice, and I don't know if we saw it all that much in practice. You weren't going to know this until they played a game, and it's only one game. But I had a hunch he would be a pressure guy, didn't you? I had a hunch that he would be a guy that would send the house. It felt like, I don't have the numbers, but it felt like they sent at least a 5th guy a bunch yesterday. It felt like there was a lot of blitzing, a lot of pressure, and between stunts and games with your 4 and various pressures with your blitzers, it felt like to me Bryce Young was always running around. I mean, a lot of the yards he made on his own by having to take off and run. Now they got to contain a little better. But I thought they really brought the pressure. I thought the back-to-back sacks by Smoot were fantastic. I thought even though they don't have a lot of numbers to show for it, I thought Hines Allen and Trayvon were very active. I thought they really brought pressure, maybe more than I expected. And I love that. I love watching a blitzing defense, and it looks like they might be that.
And they got some help from, the Rams beat the Texans. So you're now a game up on Houston right out of the gate. The Colts destroyed the Dolphins, who might really be headed to a tough year. And then the Titans, good effort in Denver, admirable, but they lose. So if you're the Jaguars, I mean, again, I think you'll start to see people really get excited. I mean, the diehards have been excited. But the key is, can you bring in the casual Jaguars fan who's really only going to pay attention when they're good? And I think it was a huge day for the organization because not only did they win, they won convincingly. And you look around the division, and obviously the Texans are the number one concern. And they're 0-1 with a Monday night game against Tampa Bay, who obviously can play. They got a nice win over Atlanta yesterday on the road. So, I mean, you start to look at this and, if the Jaguars can go get it done in Cincinnati, and I think they have a good chance. I think that's more of a coin flip game than it is a massive underdog kind of game. The Jaguars could go into that week 3 meeting against Houston with a 2-game lead already on Houston, on the Texans.
It could be. Here's what I'll tell you. There's phases of the season where you're going to learn more about yourself. And by the way, I agree with you. Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite. That's about what you get for home field, which means the odds makers think these two teams are kind of even. And it was the same way in this game. But here, I think it breaks in. There's phases, there's chapters of your season, Hayes. You played a team that you thought if you played well, you were probably better than them. And that's what happened in game 1. Now you're about to play 4 straight perennial playoff teams. I mean, the reality is Cincinnati's got playoff when they're healthy. They're not very good defensively last year, but they've got playoff written all over them. The Texans have been winning this division. The 49ers and the Chiefs are the 49ers and the Chiefs. So you're about to play a bunch of good teams. That doesn't mean you're not going to win those games. Can you win all of them? Can you win half of them? But I think you're about to learn more about yourself. That's the way I see the season. I don't see it as much as where will you be in the standings after the next week. For me, I see it more like, okay, let's learn more about who we are. We're about to go at Cincinnati is a way different challenge than home against Carolina. Home against Houston is different because that's your first division game, and that's the team that's been the king of the division the last couple of years with very good quarterback play. So I think as the chapters continue to unfold here, we'll get to learn more about who this team is. But I can tell you, back to the top of what we talked about at the top, it looks like it's a team that's going to be what they say they're going to be. That is what I think stands out to me more than anything else. They said they are going to be a team that, to your point about taking the ball, isn't afraid. It's a team that's going to be good on offense, but it's a team that wants to be the more physical team. I can tell you, being in that building as much as I'm in there, that being a physical team is such a big deal to them. It's a big deal to them. You saw Liam after the game, the Jaguars put that out in the locker room. First thing he talked about is being the more physical team and being the team that ran for 200 yards. It's the first thing he talked about after he was running around and they doused him with the water and all that. the first thing he talked about was physicality and the running for 200 yards. That's who they really want to be in step one, game one. So far, so good.
Absolutely. Great stuff, Frank. We always appreciate your time on a Monday morning. Always great when we can break down a Jaguars victory. We'll do it again next Monday. We'll be back with Duval Rundown on Wednesday. That's when Ryan O'Halloran, the columnist of the Florida Times-Union, will join us. Until then, soak it up. You're a winner, Jaguars. 1-0 in the division, one step closer to that elusive undefeated season. Thanks for watching Duval Rundown. We'll see you next time.
And by the way, Hayes, I'll let you know where I'm sitting in the parade, just so you have a seat.
Sounds good.
See you, Hayes.
See you guys.